Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about how to control our negative emotions and how to control our mind. Well, the nature of our mind is it always likes to wander in negative emotions and negative thoughts. Negative thoughts like anger, desire or lust, or then jealousy, maybe resentment. These are the negative thoughts that our mind likes to wander in. So how can we control it? Well, our great teacher Supreme Buddha introduced us a gradual training where you can practice this controlling of negative emotions or negative thoughts in your mind. So without any further ado, I'm going to introduce them to you. So first and foremost, before getting into these steps, there is one thing that you have to practice, and there is one thing that you have to master, and that is awareness. If you are not aware of what you're thinking, if you are not mindful about what you're thinking, then you cannot control it. So you have to totally understand and you have to totally be aware of what you're thinking. Okay, so whenever you become aware of what you're thinking, then you will have that power to control it. So here comes the first step. Buddha says, whenever you become aware of your mind is wandering in negative thoughts like anger or lustful thoughts or resentment or jealousy, the first thing is to shift your thought pattern to something wholesome. There are some wholesome thoughts in your mind which makes you peaceful. Maybe like thinking of something that you have done in the past, like maybe you helped someone. Whenever you think that thought, your mind becomes happy and peaceful. So what you're going to do is, whenever you become aware of your negative thoughts, we're going to shift our thought pattern to something that is wholesome, something that makes us peaceful. So that is the first thing that Buddha says. Shift your thoughts to wholesome thoughts. If that first step did not work out, then what you have to do, go for the next step. What is that? Buddha says, think about the disadvantages of thinking negative emotions, right? If you are constantly having angry thoughts, then you have to think, these thoughts are hurting myself and others. If I take actions according to these thoughts, it will hurt myself and the others. Remember, it may be a little thought of anger, but if it grow up, what will happen? It will be destructive. So what do you have to do? Think about the drawbacks or disadvantages of thinking these negative thoughts. Then, whenever you see these disadvantages, your mind will tend to stay away from these negative thoughts. Most of the time, we are not aware of these disadvantages. Okay? So what do you have to do? Think, if I keep on thinking these negative thoughts, it is not going to help me. It will disrupt my peacefulness, right? That is the second step. Then as the third step, Buddha says, pay no mind, pay no attention. If the second step did not work out, go for the third step, to not to pay any attention to that thought. Right? See, whenever we give so much attention to something, maybe a thought, it grows again and again, it grows more, right? For an example, if you became angry with someone and if you keep thinking about him again and again and becoming angry, that anger will grow more and more. So what do you have to do? We have to let the thought be a thought without paying much attention. Right? When you just stay away from giving attention, then it will fade away from your mind. It's something like this. Have you seen little babies, when they fall down, they start to cry, right? If the parent or the mother or father see that it is not a big deal of falling, if mother or father did not give any attention to that baby, what does he do? He just don't care about that. He will stop crying. Same thing goes with our mind. If we did not pay any attention to that thought, right? If we did not care about that thought and just let it go and let it pass away from our mind, then it will fade away. That is one way of doing that. If the third step did not work for you, then the Buddha says, go for the fourth step to relax your thought process, right? Now remember, when you think negative thoughts, your mind becomes so much busy, so much rough and distracted. So, what you're going to do is, you're thinking, why am I thinking these distractive thoughts? These negative thoughts that are making me so much busy and making me distracted, right? So what you're going to do is, you're relaxing your thought process to something very soft and subtle. Maybe like loving kindness, maybe like compassion, right? Maybe like gratefulness. When you think those thoughts, when you think more positive thoughts, your mind or your thought process becomes so much relaxed. And then if the fourth step did not work for you, then it comes the final step. This is something that we have to do with a great care. I do not recommend for everyone to do this. This should be done with a great experience and a good practice, right? And that is to crush your thought with awareness, right? You have to be totally aware of your thinking pattern and have a good determination to your mind that I am not going to think these negative thoughts, right? But this should not be done by everyone, right? Some may be not good at this, right? If you keep on becoming aware and if you keep on forcing this mind, it will grow more and more these negative thoughts. So if all those four steps did not work for you, then you have to go for the final step, right? So it is much better to practice these four thoughts before doing the final one, okay? So practice these things. When you practice, you will feel and you will understand that your negative emotions are fading away little by little. Remember, this is not going to happen overnight. It will take a long time to do this, but you have to keep on practicing. Keep on doing it. Make it a habit, and then you will become a master of it. So practice this practice and make your mind a place where free from negative thoughts. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. One day, a young lady called Kisa Gotami came running to the Buddha, carrying the dead body of her only child. Her child has passed away, and she refused to admit that her child has been dead. All she thought was that this child is not talking and smiling and giggling is because of a disease. He had fallen ill. So she went around the city calling for a doctor to cure the disease of this innocent child. But as there is no one, no doctor who can bring a dead to the life, finally, a wise man said to her, "Oh, young lady, I know about a doctor who can cure the disease of your child. He resides in that monastery. His name is Gautama the Buddha. Go and meet him, and he will give you a solution for this problem." Then Kisa Gotami came running to the Buddha, and here she lies in front of the Buddha, sobbing and begging to the Buddha to bring the baby back to life. Then our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, out of compassion, he looked into Kisa Gotami and said, "Gotami, I can cure the disease of your child. But before that, to make a medicine for him, I need a handful of mustard seed. Can you bring that?" Kisa Gotami's face was lit up with happiness, and she said, "Oh, Master Gautama, I will bring a handful of mustard seed from anywhere with no time." Then our great teacher Supreme Buddha said, Gotami, not so fast. First of all, you need to remember, you should bring a handful of mustard seed from a family where no one have ever died. There was an old lady in that house. Then she asked from that old lady, "Oh, madam, can I have a handful of mustard seed from you? I need to cure the disease of this child. I need it as a medicine." Then the old lady said, "Okay, young lady, I will give you a handful of mustard seed." Then the Gotami asked, "By the way, has anyone have ever died in your family?" Then the old lady said, "Oh, young lady, I am sorry to say, 2 days ago my husband died." Then Kisa Gotami said, "Okay, then there is no use of your mustard seed. I need a handful of mustard seed from a family where no one have ever died." Then she went to the next house and to the next house. She went all around the city, finding a handful of mustard seed from a family where no one have died. But finally, she could not find it. In each and every family, someone have been dead. Finally, she realized that she is not alone in this world. She realized that death is a common fate for all the people. All the people have suffered this common phenomena. Then finally she realized that her child is dead and she cannot bring her back to life. Then what she did was, she went to the jungle and she buried her beloved son in the soil, and she came back to the monastery to meet our great teacher, Supreme Buddha. Finally she said, "Oh, Venerable Sir, I knew my child was dead, but I was awakened from that sorrow." Dear devotees and my dear children, when someone dies, when the near and dear one fade away from our life, disappear from our life, it is one of the greatest, hardest experiences that we are going through in all of our lives. Sometimes it may be traumatic to many people. Sometimes they may cry over years and years because of loss of loved ones. So, Supreme Buddha said, this wasn't happen only for you. Remember, one day, everyone will die. That is the common fate for all of us. In 100 years of time, all of us are not in this world. We all have to say goodbye to this world. Remember, all the relationships, all the near and dear and loved ones around you will fade away one day from your life. Or you have to fade away from their life. That is the rule of this world. Supreme Buddha said, always remember that you have to be separated from the people who are around you, the people who love you most. Realizing this bitter truth, the common truth for all of us, will give us the motivation and will give us the inspiration to love the people around us more. Because you know that you have a little time. Because you know you have a little time to love people around you, care the people around you, look after the people around you, give your love and kindness to them. You will have a little time for that. So when you realize that you can love them perfectly, And also, when they fade away from your life, you can see this reality, and of course you will go through some sort of grief in your life because of loss of the loved one. But remember, you will have the strength to overcome that grief by the time. It will not be traumatic to you, because you know this was bound to happen one day. Remember, sun arises from the east, and at the end of the day, it sets from the west. No one can stop that. That is the reality of this world. That is the nature of this world. Sun arises, and at the end of the day, it will set. No one is grieving for that. Same goes with our life. You have to stop grieving. And after a death of loved one, you should do more good things, more merits and wholesome things in order to make that dead person, the beloved person, to be happy. If that person sees you, that you are sobbing because of him, because of the loss of him, he will not be happy. He or she will not be happy. So what you have to do good things after that, right? Do wholesome things, remembering him, and that will make him happy. So what you have to do, you can cry, it is not a problem, but do not let it go for a long time. Recover yourself from that grief and start living your life in a good way, in a wholesome way. In that way, you will have the ability to overcome the grief of your life. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to talk about something really important for all of our lives, especially in these days, and that is the things that we should not speak with others, according to Buddha's teachings. Now, at first, you might be thinking, well, I'm not a Buddhist, so why should I care about these things? Here's the thing. These principles can be applied to anyone's life, regardless of their religion or belief system. So that is why these speeches are called 4 unwholesome speeches. That is what Buddha said about these speeches. 4 unwholesome speeches. So without any further ado, let's dive in. First of all, we have lying. Now Buddha said, stay away from lying. Now I know we all have said white lies here and there in all of our lives, right? But whether it is a white lie, whether it is a black lie, gray lie, or a red lie, no matter what the lie is, lying itself can be so harmful for all of our lives. Why is that? When you lie, it destroys your trust. When you lie, it destroys your character, right? So that is why it is very important to have trust between people. In our daily relationships between people, the most important component of a happy relationship is the trust. So that is why Buddha said, live a truthful life. And it is very important to have that transparency and honesty in our relationships. So the first thing that we have to stay away from is lying. And next we have divisive speech. What do you mean by divisive speech? Divisive speech is all about creating drama between people or creating conflicts between people using your words, right? It can be gossiping or it can be talking behind someone's back, right? I must say that when you talk these words or when you use this divisive speech, it is not a good thing for your life. And also it is not a good thing for other people's relationships. So Buddha said, do not use this divisive speech. Do not break the relationships between people using your words. Most of the time, we use the divisive speech out of jealousy or out of anger. So that is why it's very important to stay away from divisive speech. And the third one is, Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. Now, when someone is calling you or when someone is treating you with rude words, how do you feel? Now, we all have been in this receiving end of such speeches, no? How did you feel? We felt sad, we felt depressed, we felt down about ourselves. So that is why Buddha said, do not use your words to put someone down, right? Do not use your words out of anger. This is all about criticizing and name calling and putting someone else down with your words, right? So Buddha said, stay away from harsh speech. And finally, Buddha said, stay away from idle chatter. What do you mean by idle chatter? Idle chatter is all about speaking meaningless or useless things, right? Now, that doesn't say that we cannot have a small chat or a fun talk with people. We can do that, but we have to know where our limit is in our speech, right? We have to set the boundaries in our speech, right? We have to know where our speech becomes unproductive, right? When you use these words, when you use your words in a meaningful way, you can create a positive life. And you can create a positive emotions or positive feelings in others' lives too, right? So these are the 4 unwholesome speeches that we have to stay away from, that our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught us according to the Buddha's teachings, right? So why all these things matter? Why these unwholesome speeches matter in our life? Well, Buddha said, the words that we speak can create either positive or negative karma in our life. Do not think lightly about this karma, right? You have to be very careful about the karma. So the intention behind your words really matters in your life. And that is why we have to use our words wisely, because it can make a huge impact in our lives as well as in others' lives too. So words that we speak are like a knife, right? You can use the knife to cut something useful, right? And also you can use the knife to kill someone else. So let's use our words to create a better life for ourselves and for others. So thank you for tuning in. I hope you got some food for thought for your life. So until next time, I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live in peace forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, let's talk about relationships. And I'm going to be sharing with you 6 principles taught by the Buddha on having a healthy and happy relationship. Well, maintaining a healthy relationship, maintaining a happy relationship or long-lasting relationship is a bit challenging. Why? Because we have different personalities. We are different from one to another, right? But we lose this ability to understand about this situation, this reality. What is the reality? The difference between each other. Sometimes we ask from the people, or we ask from our partners, why can't you think like me? Why can't you be like me? Why can't you act like me or behave like me? This is where we make many problems in relationships. But if we can realize the difference between one another, or if we can realize this reality, what is that? We are different from each other, then we can get the power of understanding. There's one important quality that we must practice in any kind of relationship, and that is the understanding, right? Understand others' situations. Understand why they are acting like that, why they are behaving like that. So, our great teacher Supreme Buddha taught there are 6 principles to practice. These are the practices, actually. If you practice these 6 principles in any kind of relationship, your relationship will be much more happy and healthy. Okay, so without any further ado, let's get into these principles, and I'm going to explain one by one in turn. First of all, the Buddha said, you need to practice these principles when that person, the person or our partner or our companion or the people who we are relating to, when that person with us or in front of us, and also in the times where that person is not with us. That means both privately and publicly we have to practice and maintain these principles in our life. And also, these principles was taught by the Buddha to monks actually, because as monks, we live as a community. Now in our monastery, we have more than 25 monks. So when you analyze their personalities, they all are different. They all have different ways of lifestyles. So when we are interacting, there may be some problems. There may be some crashes. But if you practice these qualities, if we practice these qualities, there will be less problems. There will be less disagreements. So that is why Buddha taught us these principles. So this was originally preached by the Buddha to the monks actually. And also, you can apply these principles to your life also. So let's get into the first principle. Buddha said, you need to treat your spiritual companions, regarding to monks actually. Buddha said, you need to treat your companions with physical kindness, bodily kindness. What do you mean by bodily kindness? There are certain things that we can do from our body in order to show our kindness or show our compassion towards that person. It may not be big things like spending money on big things and buying big things to the person. But also, there are many things that we can do. There are little things that we can do for that person to create happiness on that person's mind. And also we can give that, by doing these things, we can give that idea that we value your life. That I value your being with me. So Buddha said, do the acts of loving kindness from your body. Maybe like helping in his career, maybe like helping in his household activities. If you take an example, like in a husband and wife relationship, you can share the things that you are doing in the life. We can help each other. That is one way of showing love and kindness to that person. And also we can show in many ways our love and kindness to these people. When you act from your body with love and kindness, that creates the mutuality between people. So the first principle is to treat people with physical kindness. Then Buddha said, as the second principle, treat the companions with verbal kindness. You can speak nice and kind and heartwarming words to them to create the happiness and create the pleasure in their mind. Each and every one of us likes to listen to pleasant words, right? We all surrender in front of the kindness, kind words, kind actions. So the first and second thing is to treat them with physical kindness and also with verbal kindness. And as the third principle, Buddha said, this is the most important principle, and that is, treat your companions with mental kindness. This is the important one. Why is that? Because if you generate these kind thoughts towards the people around you, in your mind, your thoughts become your actions. then your actions will be more kind. Your thoughts become your words, then your words will become more kind. So as the third principle, Buddha taught us, treat your companion with mental kindness. Okay? So when you treat your companion with mental kindness, that means you are spreading this rays and this power of kindness towards them when that person is in front of us, and also in the times where he or she is not with us. We have to do it in the same way. That is the third one. And also as the fourth principle, Buddha said, you have to share without reservation. For the monks, Buddha said, if you get any kind of food or any something good to your life, you have to share that thing with your spiritual companions. Now we monks, when we get some food, we always try to share with our monks. So you can adopt that to your life. Whatever the things that you get, maybe like you had something very delicious food when you're working in a long distance place. And when you come home, or when you come to your partner, or when you come to that person, you can say, hey, I had this food, I had this delicious food. I need you to have that. That means you're sharing it. When you share without reservation, it creates the peacefulness and it strengthens the relationships. So sharing is one of the most key and important ingredients in relationships. And as the fifth principle, Buddha said, you have to be virtuous. What do you mean by virtuous? Now, in Buddhism, as normal people, in Buddhism, we practice 5 precepts. Buddhist people practice 5 precepts: abstaining from killing beings, abstaining from stealing, abstaining from sexual misconduct, abstaining from telling lies, and abstaining from taking intoxicating drinks and drugs or alcohols. So these are the 5 precepts that lay people practice in Buddhism. So when you become more moral or virtuous, it creates the trust in people. Now there's in relationships, in normal relationships, in people, this third precept is very important. In third precept, it simply says, you are not cheating your partner. That means it creates the trust and loyalty between the partner and in the relationship. In any kind of relationship, trust is the foundation. Without trust, there is no use of a relationship. So when you become more virtuous, you will create the trust and loyalty in the relationship. And as the sixth and the final principle, Buddha taught us, you have to have a common view in any kind of relationship. That means, if you can, in a relationship, if both the people, or if everyone work for one dream, work to achieve one goal, that creates the peace in this relationship. Now, as monks, Buddha said you have to have one dream or one goal in your life. There's only one purpose of becoming a monk, and that is to end the sufferings of this long cycle of rebirth and to be enlightened. When all the monks get together and work for that dream, then that will be so much easy to live with them, right? When someone is deviating from that path, that creates the problem, right? So in relationships also, if every one of us can work for one dream or to achieve one goal, then that will be more easy and more happy. So these are the 6 principles that we must practice in any kind of relationship. You can apply these principles to any kind of relationships, whether it is husband and wife, maybe like girlfriend and boyfriend, whether it is like parents and children, whatever the relationship is, you can apply these principles and make it more healthy and happy. So practice these principles, add them to your life, and make your life a better one. So I'm going to end this video with a nice quote that I've read. It says, "All relationships go through bad times, but the real relationships get through bad times." So practice the principles and make your life a better one. Namo Buddhaya.
To be happy is every living being's right in this world. Everything that we do, everything that we say, why we are doing them, we do that to be happy. Just ask from yourself, why am I doing what am I doing? You can answer to yourself. You will find that the reason why I do everything in life to make myself happy. If I ask from you, why do you wake up early in the morning and just prepare some food and go out to work? To make yourself happy and to make others happy, isn't it? Yes. You gain happiness by making others happy as well. That you have to remember, right? So there are two types of happinesses in this world. The first type of happiness is called the material happiness, right? And also the other type of happiness is called the spiritual happiness. To call it a good life, to call it a perfect life, one must achieve these two types of happinesses in his life. One must experience both of these happinesses in their life, right? So from this video, I would like to share a wonderful teaching from the Buddha that explains about what are the types of happinesses that a person who is living in a household life, a family life, must achieve. Now, according to Buddhism, there are two types of lives. The first type of life is called the household life. That means the people who are living in a family life, right? Maintaining a family, living in a house, engaging in material pleasures and all the stuff, right? A household life. That means you, right? And also, there is this other type of life. It is called the monk's life, right? Which we can call them the homelessness life. That means we leave our houses, we leave our families and become monks, right? So that we no longer own a house. We no longer own a family. We no longer maintain a family, right? So the ones who renunciate the household life, the ones who leave the household life, they seek a higher kind of happiness, right? That doesn't mean that they don't seek any kind of happiness. We as monks, why we become monks is to seek the spiritual happiness. Now, when you become a monk, it doesn't mean you totally deny seeking the material happiness, right? But for a monk, there must be a limit for seeking the material happiness, because as living beings, we can't totally deny seeking material pleasure. As living beings, we must consume some sort of material pleasures in this world. But that seeking, that consumption of material pleasure must not disturb the peace and the spiritual happiness that a monk is seeking, right? So for monks, there are limitations for material happiness, okay? But it is less of the material happiness and more of the spiritual happiness. So in this teaching of the Buddha focuses on household life, a person who is living a family life. To call that life a perfect life, a good life, the Buddha says that there are 4 types of happinesses that a householder must achieve in their life, right? The first type of happiness, the Buddha called it Ati Sukha. What is it? Ati Sukha. Ati Sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of ownership. Now, what do you mean by the happiness of ownership? Buddha explains the happiness of ownership as one must work hard, put his time and energy and strive and earn money righteously in the correct way. right? He must earn money, he must earn wealth in the righteous way. Now, what do you mean by in the righteous way? Is by you should earn money without harming anyone, without harming yourself and without harming the other people, without harming the society, right? If you earn money without harming anyone, that is the righteous way of earning money. Now, Buddha said, as a householder, you must be happy and you must enjoy earning money, right? Buddha was someone who did not say that you should not pursue happiness. You should not pursue material happiness. The Buddha said, if you are a householder, you must do that. That is your duty, right? So the Buddha said, strive hard, work hard, put your time and energy to what you're working on, and earn money righteously. That is a happiness that you can gain, right? When you have enough money to your life, then you can be happy about thinking that I own this wealth. This is my wealth. That is sort of a happiness that one can gain, right? That is the first type of happiness that Buddha said a householder must achieve in their life at some point in their life, right? That is the first one. The second type of happiness that Buddha taught for householders to achieve is called bhoga sukha. The bhoga sukha can be translated into English as the happiness of enjoyment. Now, first you earn money, right? Now you spend money and enjoy it in the correct way, right? The Buddha says that you have to spend money in a way that you should not harm yourself and you should not harm the other people as well, in the righteous way, right? So that when you spend money doing good things like helping people, helping your parents, with your money, with the money that you righteously earned, and when you spend that money on the people who you love, right, to make them happy, it gives you a happiness, right? It is a great happiness that one can achieve. That you have to achieve in your life. Okay, so the second type of happiness the Buddha taught to achieve is called the bhoga sukha, the happiness of enjoyment. The third type of happiness that Buddha taught us to enjoy in the life is called the happiness of freedom from debt. That we called ananasukha. Ananasukha is the happiness of freedom from debt. Now, when you are free from debt, let's say you don't have any loans or any debt to pay, right? You're financially free. Then how much freedom that one can feel, right? You feel freedom, you feel a happiness that I'm no longer in debt to anything, right? I don't have any loans to pay, I don't have any debt to pay, so I'm financially free. That is a happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, right? That is a great happiness that one must achieve. The freedom, financial freedom, right? This is the third type of happiness. And then the fourth type of happiness, this is the most important thing. This is the most valuable happiness that a householder must achieve in their life, according to the Buddha. Buddha said, the fourth type of happiness is called anavajja sukha. Anavajja sukha means the happiness from blameless life. Now, what do you mean by a blameless life? The Buddha says that you have to do things, you have to say things, you have to live your life in a way that you do everything with a good heart, with a good mind, with a wholesome heart, right? When you spend your life as a good-hearted person, as a good person, as a wholesome-hearted person, right? It gives you a bigger happiness, bigger enjoyment, thinking about who you are. That is the most important thing, because all the other material happinesses, right? All the other three material happinesses, it can give you happiness, right? I don't say that it cannot give you happiness, but if you did not have this happiness, anavajja sukha, if your heart is complaining who you are, what you do, right? If your heart is regretting about who you are, then the other things doesn't matter, right? What matters the most is how you live in this life, right? At the end of our life, the most important thing that we can be happy about is how we live this life, how much love we give to other people, right? How much we help to other people, how righteously and how correctly we lived our life. So the Buddha said, you must achieve this happiness as well, right? So these are the 4 happinesses that a householder, one who is living in a family life, spending a family life, must achieve. So I hope this video and this teaching from the Buddha gave you a little light to your life. So I wish you all, may all of you be able to achieve all of these happinesses in this very life. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to today's video. In today's video, we are going to take a look at the concept of karma according to Buddha's teachings. Now, when you hear the word karma, the first question that comes to your mind is, what is karma? What is the meaning of this word? Well, if you take a look at the definition of karma, it gives the meaning of action, right? But in Buddhism, it is more than action. The Buddha said it is intentional action is the karma. In Nibbedika Sutta, Buddha explains this as Chetanahang bhikkhave kammang vadami, chetayitva kammang karoti, kayena vachaya manasa. Monks, I say that intention is the action, or intention is the karma. And intentionally or willingly, one performs actions or karma either physically, mentally, or verbally. That means that intention, chetana, or the intention, plays a greater role behind our karma. Now, according to the intentions, the karma can be divided into 2 types. Buddha said there are kusala karma and akusala karma, wholesome actions and unwholesome actions, right? Now, what is wholesome action? They are the actions, they are the things that we do with wholesome intentions, right? Like we do certain things with wholesome intentions like love and kindness, compassion, patience, serenity, right? When we do certain things from our body, speech, and our mind with wholesome actions, wholesome intentions, we generate karmas that are wholesome. And also there's the other side of the karma, that is unwholesome actions. Okay? Now, akusala karma or unwholesome actions is a broader topic, because so many people think that akusala karma is something that is bad when it comes to unwholesome actions, right? Akusala karma is not only bad, but also there's another hidden meaning behind this. And that is, there are certain things, there are certain actions that we perform during our day-to-day life, right? They're the things that we do in day-to-day life, like talking and writing and like sleeping and traveling. We need actions and we need intentions to do this. Intentionally we do all the actions. But they're not certainly unwholesome. So the meaning of akusala karma means the actions that do not fall under the wholesome actions or kusala karma. Of course, there is the unwholesome actions or the bad karma or the evil karmas that we do, and also there is other neutral karmas that we perform during our day-to-day life. So they are called the unwholesome actions, right? So based on the intention, the karma can be divided into 2 different parts, and they are wholesome actions and unwholesome actions, kusala karma and akusala karma. Okay? And the word karma does not come alone. It comes with this word vipaka or phala, right? Vipaka, the word vipaka gives the meaning of result or outcome. And the word phala gives the meaning of the fruit. Okay? Now the word phala is a great word to understand about the law of karma. Let's understand about it in this way. Let's say I planted a mango seed on the ground. In few years' time, what do I get? I can have mangoes, right? And also, if I planted a chili seed,
in few months' time, what can I get? I can get chili, right? So when we plant something, a seed, it has the potential to give the result in the future, right? If I planted a mango seed, that mango seed has the potential, it has the ability to generate mango fruits in the future. Okay? Same like that. If I did a certain karma in this moment, right? If with an intention, if I perform an action in this moment, it has the potential to create a series of experiences in the future, whether it is good or bad, right? So remember, the vipaka is the effect that we are going to get in the future, right? Now, this whole idea behind this law of karma is the law of cause and effect. When we make the conditions for something, then we are going to get the results out of it in the future. Now, the nature of the results highly dependent on the nature of the karma that we perform today. Let's understand about this in this way. Now, I planted the mango seed, right? That mango seed had the power to generate mangoes in the future, right? But if I wish this mango seed to give chilies in the future, no matter how hard I wish, I will never get chili out of it. I get mangoes because it has the nature of generating mangoes. Same like that, right? If I did an action with an intention, it has the power to generate the experiences or the vipakas in the future. So if the nature of this karma that I am performing today has the intention of wholesome, or if I did with a pure mind, a pure intention, it can generate desirable experiences in the future, desirable results in the future, because that is the nature of this seed of karma. In the same way, if I did something unwholesome with an unwholesome intention, I will get unwholesome or undesirable experiences in the future, because it has the nature of generating undesirable experiences in the future. So this is the whole idea behind the law of karma. Now, why do we need to understand about the law of karma and how karma works? Now, if you had a good understanding about the law of karma and how karma works, it is very easy to be compassionate on others. And it is very easy to be compassionate on yourself. Right? There are certain things and certain experiences that happens due to our past karmas. Right? Now, according to Buddhism, we believe that we are coming from a long journey of rebirth that is called samsara. Now, in this long samsara, we have performed both good and bad karmas. So, in this life, we are going to get some sort of experiences from our past karmas. Okay? So, if you take a look at that, when the tough times comes, when the problems comes to your mind, sometimes people blame to themselves. People hate themselves and think like, I'm a bad person, right? I'm a bad person. I'm a negative person. No, right? Just because you performed a bad karma doesn't say that you're a bad person. Okay? Because each and everyone, we are living in this society, in this world, perform good and bad karma. Okay? So we don't want to hate ourselves. We can be compassionate on ourselves, right? Everyone is subjected to this law of karma. And also, if you have a good understanding about the law of karma, it is very easy to be mindful and be in this present moment. Why? Because sometimes we worry about the things that has happened in the past, right? We worry about the things that we have done in the past. And we think like, oh, I did this thing and my whole life is ruined, right? Of course, you cannot change the past, right? That is the truth. You cannot change the past. And also, you cannot stop the outcomes of the things that you have done in the past, or the results or the vipakas that you have done in the past. Okay? You cannot change it. What is within your control and what you can change is this present moment. And if you become mindful about this present moment, then you can create good karma, not the bad ones. So I hope you got a little understanding about the karma and how it works. So until next video, stay happy and stay safe. Namo Buddhaya. Now, one of our viewers have asked a question from us, that what is true love according to the Buddhism? Well, when we talk about the topic love, remember, as humans, as beings in this world, we all seek love and affection in our life, right? All living beings needs love to live. So when you talk about the topic love, it is a vast and a broad topic, right? Love can be found in many ways. But the basic and the base for all these kinds of love is the kindness and the compassion. But most oftenly, people may misunderstand the love and the attachment. Right? When we come to the topic of love between the partners, the male and females, boys and girls, many of the boys and girls, they doesn't know what is true love and what is attachment. Now there is a distinct difference between true love and attachment. So what is that difference? Well, when someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me. Right? In the other hand, if someone being attached to some person, he will always say that why are you not making me happy? Right? So there is a big difference between these two expressions. When someone loves another person, he will say, I need you to be happy by being with me. That means you are trying to give something to someone. Right? You always try to give the happiness to a person. But if you are being attached to someone, right? If you are developing lustful ideas towards someone, your mind will say, why are you not making me happy? You need to make me happy. So that is based on the selfishness. Right? The true love is based on unselfishness. Right? In the true love, there are many things, many good assets. They are the love, kindness, compassion, patience. These are the basic qualities that leads to the true love. Right? If you are loving someone, you need to be kind to that person. You need to be compassionate to that person. You need to feel the sadness of those people. Now, when we talk about the topic compassion, compassion means to suffer with other people. That means if you can feel the pain that is hidden inside the people's life, if you can feel and become empathy, you can feel the empathetic feeling about them, then that is called compassion. If you can share the pain that is in another person with you, then that is compassion. So in true love, you need to have that sharing ability. And also, you need to have the kindness. You need to always wish the well-being of that person. Right? You need always to wish the good of that person. That is how you love truly. Our great teacher Supreme Buddha gave a wonderful explanation for the love. Supreme Buddha said, Mata yatan yang puttang ayusa eka putta manurakhe. As a mother who loves her only child, you should spread that same love to every person in this world. So when we talk about mother's love, parents, they does not expect anything from us. Instead, they love us. Now, when we were small, right, we were doing so many terrible things to our parents, right? Have you seen that the babies do so many terrible things to their parents, right? They drag from their hair, they pinch them, they cry, they yell, but yet the parents still love their children. So when someone is truly loving someone, it's like they're holding them firmly and they're nurturing them, right? But if you are attached to a person, you always expect the things from others, right? You always expect the things that fulfill your desires, right? When someone is attached and when someone is being lustful for someone, that means he's always expecting to fulfill every fulfillment and desire from that person. You're not trying to give something, always you are trying to get something from that person, right? It's like you're holding on to something tightly, right? Suppose you are drawing a cow or a bull. You are holding that cow or a bull from a rope. So when that animal tries to escape, what you are doing is you are holding it tightly, right? The more you hold it tightly, you are the one who is getting hurt, right? You are the one who is getting hurt. If you can let go, what will happen? You are not getting hurt anymore. So when you are being attached to a person, you will always get hurt. And you will never fulfill your desires, because desires and sensual desires, they never get fulfilled. We cannot make ourselves satisfied from those things. Okay? So that is what you call the attachment. In attachment, you hold on to things tightly. There is a great quote that describes about love. If you like a flower, right? If you like a flower, you will pluck that flower. But if you love a flower, you will water the plant, that flower plant. So if you love someone, what you have to do, you have to say that I need you to be happy with me, right? I always wish the happiness of your life. If that happiness includes me, that is better. But if it is not, in that case also, I need you to be happy. That is how you love truly. And that is the difference between the true love and the attachment, right? In true love, you don't expect anything from the person, but still you try to give the happiness to them. In attachment, you always expect the things from people, and still you will never be satisfied from them. So choose to love the people correctly. If you choose to love people correctly, then you will be a peaceful person throughout your life. Namo Buddhaya, Theravansara.